If you want news and rumors that appeal, welcome to the Dusty Wheel.
Hey, welcome back to the Dusty Wheel.
If you want news and rumors that appeal, welcome to the Dusty Wheel.
Hey, welcome back to the Dusty Wheel.
Hey, welcome back to the Dusty Wheel. I'm your host, the Innkeeper, and this is our live call and talk show all about the Wheel of Time. Now today, we're back for a Sunday afternoon to talk all about our live adaptation of The Dragon Reborn. We're finally at part 7. We're getting so close. Are we going to make it all the way to the end of chapter 55? No. That's going to be one more. Like we've said, we've done 8 of these per book. But we get to finally get to Tyr, I think, at this point and talk about some of these major components that finally come together in this book. So I can't wait to do that. But before I bring my wonderful friends and guests into this, and before we pick one of you that's in live chat with us to come on the show right now with us, let me remind you a couple things coming up. Next Watt Wednesday was going to be a discussion of Becoming Matchroom, but I've been looking into his works, and I've been able to get to and watch half of them, but I want to watch with my guest panelists that night some of the recent work he's done on independent films. So while I'm reaching out to those individuals, we're going to schedule that, I think, for the end of April instead, because I want to make sure that we get to see some of those. And we might have some news about another watch party that deals with Starboy coming up soon. I hope. Working on it. We'll see what we can do. So, that being said, this Watt Wednesday instead will be an evening we haven't done in a while. It's just hanging out with the Innkeeper, talking Wheel of Time TV and fandom news. Now, that night I will be revealing who will be the center square of our version of Hollywood Squares called Wheel of Time Squares that we do the following Wednesday. And this Wednesday we'll also be picking the 2 contestants out of the live chat who will be with us and our guests that Watt Wednesday. So make sure you're there. Plus, we'll be talking about Watt on Prime News, talking about last April 1st. I mean, it'll be March 31st, but we'll be talking about what happened last April 1st with Brandon here on the show. And we'll also be talking about whether or not any of you out there would like to join the Dusty Wheel team. I have some fun stuff coming up there. So please do show up on Wednesday. It'll be fun. We'll just do some Q&A. It'll be a blast. Okay, that being said, let's get to today's topic. We're back doing our live adaptation, and to do that, I brought some wonderful guests that you know very well. Mary, Todd, and Natalia, how you doing? Welcome to the show, you 3. It's awesome to see you.
How's it going? Happy Sunday.
Happy Sunday. Happy Sunday, everybody. It's good to have you all here. You ready to jump into this thing? We're finally getting through some of the kind of weight that I think Dragon Reborn makes happen at this point. So, and for those of you that have not watched this before, what we do is we break down each chapter and talk about if we were Rafe and his team, what would we adapt to the TV show? And we watch your comments in chat, and then we, obviously open the phone lines, and you can give us a call when you disagree or agree with us. We look for you in chat to come up with some good hashtags for decisions that are made. There have been really amazing ones in the past. We can't wait to see what you have to say. So, that being said, Todd, Natalia, Mary, let's jump in. I think you all told me that we were in chapter 39. I believe you, because I remember we had just finished chapter 38, this discussion of whether or not we needed or where we should kind of meet up with the Aiel. So then let's jump to this next chapter. This is very much a chapter about I don't know, it's kind of like a mid-chapter, right? Nynaeve has finished healing. I think was it Julene or something like that? I can't remember the name of the person. No, sorry, that's the name of the town. It's
Jolene.
Can't remember who
Dylan.
Dylan, thank you. I was thinking about the town that they're looking for. So, and then they discuss, they mention that they're over here because of He Who Comes with the Dawn. The girls, leave and discuss all these things and healing and blah, blah, blah. And then they get captured. And then they get taken and get locked up with the mirror draw. They have the attack that happens, and they get on a boat. Okay, so that's like the general kind of overlay of the chapter. Let me go up to you, Todd, to start us off. Of these events, anything key from a characterization standpoint, plot standpoint, that has to make it into the TV show?
I don't think so. And I just say that really, it's a lot of descriptions of the IEL, and that's pretty much all you get.
Yeah, that's absolutely, I totally agree with that. I mean, that is all there is here. And before we go any further, I want to throw this out there because we said we're going to bring somebody from chat in. So Taylor's going to throw an invitation into chat here. And if you want to be here live with us discussing these chapters, enter this raffle. But remember, there's a couple of key things. You have to have Zoom. You have to have a quiet room. You have to be dressed. All these important pieces of
Pants are optional, though.
No, pants are not optional. Don't make up rules like that. Pants are required.
Right now.
So Taylor, go ahead and add an invitation, just raffling off, and we'll see who we can get out of chat that wants to join us here for our discussion here. So while that's happening, in about 5 minutes after Taylor starts this thing, we'll close it up. We'll get you the invitation. Basically, what will happen is if we invite you in, you'll go over to Discord. You'll connect with Taylor over there. And he'll get you the link, and we'll bring you in as we're discussing this. So, yeah, I generally kind of agree with you on this, Todd. It's kind of a lot of just about the IEL, and then they get caught here. But Natalia, what about the capture side of this chapter? Like, do you need them to be captured? Do you need this kind of like the mirror draw and they escape? It happens really quick.
It happens really quick, and I'm struggling to see what the point of it is beyond, Ruark raising an eyebrow and Nynaeve healing somebody for the first time without access to herbs. So she breaks the wilder piece a little bit, but other than that, we miss nothing.
There's also the spontaneous balefire.
There he is. Yeah.
That was great.
Yeah, and then and it was and doesn't Egwene, isn't it in her point of view, and she's like, I think that was balefire, but shoot, I didn't see it.
I didn't see how she did it, is what she said.
Yeah.
Right.
I wish I knew how she did it. Yeah.
Yeah.
But we do meet Ruark here, right? I'm just
We'll
throwing out, I'm sure Bane and Gia didn't. Oh, sorry, go ahead, Todd.
The older we get, the more I like Ruark, the old warrior.
The old warrior.
/ try to emulate.
Maybe.
Taylor, you ready to throw that in there in the chat?
No.
It's just,
okay,
at this point, everybody is rushing to Tyr. I think I said this last show. This is the big chase scene. And instead of the MacGuffin being the horn like it was in The Great Hunt, MacGuffin is Rand. And do we, is the point to get to Tyr, or is the point the journey? And I don't know. In the Great Hunt, I think the point was the journey. In the Dragon Reborn, I'm willing to let some of it go. We've already done the chase part of it, and it could be consolidated down to get to Tyr quicker. I mean, there's a lot of really interesting characters that we meet along the way that become bigger players later in the story. Do they need to be showing up now? It's kind of cool, but do they have to?
No.
It almost feels like.
I put my hand up.
Yeah, I know. Natalia did put her hand up, so
I'm sorry.
we should go.
Okay.
So Natalia, and then back to Todd.
This is true.
Now I forgot, you guys. Go ahead, Todd.
Okay, sorry. I'll remember to do that next time so I can go.
Ooh.
No, really, it's almost like this feels to me like I have to show everybody how badass the IEL are. So let's make something happen where we can show off how badass they are, and that's pretty much all that this is.
And how badass Nynaeve is, and how kind of babe in the woods they all are. Okay, Tal remembers. Go.
It was really funny, guys. Is Knife of Dreams gonna be like one episode?
Yes, there's a problem here.
Well, Maybe.
By the way, I'm seeing there's like a lot of people are not joining the raffle because I can't tell if it's like fear, the anxiety of joining us live. You know, come on. But what's cool is so far it's either going to be between MK or Stubble, which would both be excellent to kind of bring in with us. I love it.
Stubble's a Fairylander, so
I know.
yeah.
And I'm a brain dead redneck. If you can't hang with me,
Bane and Chiad said it's a lack of pants. Now, Bane and Chiad did a hashtag up here. Let Ruark raise his eyebrow.
I love the eyebrow. I'm just saying it would come to better appeal, I think, not in this moment.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't need this moment to be the Ruark moment. I prefer he get a better one.
Do you want to see him in tier?
Yeah,
yeah.
Obviously, but do we want to meet him in tier?
maybe.
I mean, that's
It
where
would
you'd
work.
I think that would. I guess that would work in the sense that I like
We don't
not
need
just
him
kind of
today.
dropping him in.
Like, we don't need him today.
Yeah, no, that's true.
No,
I'm not really. This whole idea, then the mirror draw, knowing the mirror draw, looking for them, kind of seems like, well, of course they're looking for them. Like,
They're
why wouldn't
always
they be?
being looked for.
Right.
Skip
So,
it.
would you then? I want to ask you three. With this little interlude, because they go off the ship, they find another ship, and then they go back onto a ship. Are you all in favor of cutting this completely out?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So that's our first cut. That's our first cut here. You know
That's a
this little
storyline
interlude.
cut.
Sorry, Bane and Chiad. We're cutting this little tryst off to meet the Aiel. And I did see that a lot of people are commenting like they can't enter the call because of the requirement for pants, and a lot of people aren't wearing pants today. So yeah. You don't feel like you have to join us.
You see where it says technically Todd isn't wearing pants?
Yes, exactly.
Technically you're right, but when you get fat during the pandemic, you wear pants that are comfortable. And
I think the book Aja asked if I was wearing pants. Let me see. Yes, wearing pants, but no shoes. If you noticed, shoes are not required. That's fine.
Ew, shoes inside? No.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So, like I said, that is the first cut. Basically, this whole kind of chapter 38, 39 is out of our adaptation here. And if you want to join us, you're in live chat and want to join us here, jump in and make sure you join this raffle. It's !raffle is how you'll join us. In the next minute or two, we'll cut that off, and then we'll pick one of those people. And then we'll, like I said, we'll make sure you get in here with us and give us your opinions. Let's move on to chapter 40. Matt and Tom. Here we go, Todd. You probably have a ton of notes on this, so why don't you lead us off here? What happens in this chapter? Give us a kind of all the details, and then we can jump into what we think is important or not.
Basically, Matt's running downriver. He's opened up the letter that Elaine wrote to Morghese. He is eating the Grey Gull captain out of his ship, and they get to Erangel, and there's tons of refugees coming across the river, going into. Somebody else say it because I say Carhine, and everybody will make fun of me.
Ryan is how it's pronounced.
Carhine or
Carhine.
Carhine.
So, so that's basically where we're at when we get there. They are getting off of the ship or off the Grey Gull, the boat, and going into Erangel on their way to Camelot.
Okay, and there's anything else happen here with doesn't deal with Eludra and such?
No, that's later.
No, it's in this chapter.
Is it in?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it is. Okay, so
Let's get there. So, but let's talk through it.
Matt,
Yeah. So, and why don't we, Taylor? Why don't you close off while we jump, and we'll kind of dig into the details. Chapter 40 here. Taylor's going to end the raffle here, and we'll pick somebody, like I said, and we'll get you into the live show with us. So yeah, while Taylor ends that, Todd, to that point of that, what you just described, or what Todd just described, I'll go to you, Natalia. Do we need this stop in Erangel? Like, would you want to see them here, or do you just want them to get to Camelin really fast?
So,
Because you could, right?
I really like. Are you asking? Sorry.
Yeah, go for it.
I really liked that we saw Erangel from a different angle. It really felt like that scene in Avengers Endgame when they go back in time to
Right,
You
right,
guys are
right.
not nodding emphatically enough.
I am.
Seriously. Visual medium.
Yes.
Anyways, it was cool and I liked it, but I felt it was ultimately not that necessary to the story because we can get Aludra another time. But it's a cute character moment about Matt really liking to protect women.
Now, let me say this.
Sure.
The only thing, the thing in there that I liked, and I don't necessarily think it needs to be in there, but I like it when Aludra is talking about everything falling apart. And she mentions Galdrian, and you can see in Tom's face that he's like, oh my God, I'm the one who started this. He she's taking the blame for it, but and the guild is taking the blame for it. But you can see the reaction he has, because all of a sudden I think it says he gets very wooden, and so he knows that I think that's the first time it hits him that he caused this civil war.
Okay, so quickly, by the way, Nara JB won the entry into the live discussion. So I think Nara's on Discord. So once you hear this, go into Discord, reach out on the live show channel. You can look for up the editor Reborn and check in with the editor Reborn, or just ask around where Taylor is at. He's gonna be watching Discord, and you guys can set up a private DM there where he can drop in the link to Zoom for you. And we'll get you here into the show and have you join this conversation. Tell us what you think about this live adaptation that we're doing of The Dragon Reborn. So, Nara, congratulations. And go ahead, Todd.
I just wanted to ask y'all, do you think that Matt needs to get these fireworks from Aludra here? Because that's where he starts kind of digging into them and figuring it out.
So that's the thing. Does it need to be him rescuing Aludra in this manner? I don't know. Does the meeting need to happen? Yes. Could we combine the campfire scene in chapter whatever ahead of with the bandit? Could we combine Aludra and the Dark Friends and make it one scene? Maybe.
Yeah, but he's cutting them open, so I don't know that she would probably crap herself if he.
Well, he'd wait till she was sleeping.
Well,
yes, that's probably a good idea. Yeah, he would actually. Mary, what do you think about this notion of engaging with Aludra here versus elsewhere? I mean, do you, instead of having everything centered in Camelin itself, would you want kind of another city to kind of show other places in the world, or could you just kind of consolidate where he ends up and then have these events happen there?
It depends on if you're going to keep Aludra as a character or not. And Brian from BARSIDE chat, please don't hurt me for saying that. I know Aludra is your favorite side character, and because she is awesome. I personally think we should keep Aludra and the Illuminators. It adds both breadth and depth to the story, and it does become a plot point later in the series. Mini spoiler there, I suppose. So having the connection between Matt and Aludra is important, and the fact that it was the connection was made in book 3 and doesn't become a plot point until book 10 is pretty cool.
Yeah, probably.
That's part of what makes the Wheel of Time so fascinating. That's what kept us hooked for so many decades now, is finding those multi-book connections and finding the groundwork and seeing where it paid off. Does it have to happen here? Probably not, but this is the part of the story in the show where you're trying to bring everybody together. You have to have scenes to make that happen. This is a good one to keep.
Yeah. I like the introduction of her here. She's going to be an interesting one. They've got to keep her, and so for what I would imagine would be end of season 2. I like the introduction of her because so much happens. I would imagine after this, you have to kind of get her into the story. I would actually recommend, honestly, that we get a little bit more about her, earlier, and I'm hoping they do.
The other thing about this particular scene, don't mean to cut you off there, Tal, but you see Arangel, you see from the underside of Arangel, and you start to see how the world is falling apart. It's not just the politics of, the death of the king. It's not just the politics of between the nations. You start to see the influence of the shadow here, and that comes up in chapters that we're going to get to later in the show, probably, how the shadow itself is starting to influence and degrade and undermine the the status quo of the world. It's the slow descent starting to speed up, and seeing the helplessness of the mother with their children, and Matt helping, even though he's saying, I'm not going to help anybody if they can't
Unless
help
they
me
pay
in
me.
return.
Yeah.
It's that the whole dichotomy of Matt is like, Matt is internally a jerk, but externally a nice guy.
Would you?
Whereas other characters are opposite.
Would you pair these up, Todd? Would you pair up Matt and Eludra here? Like in this moment, also, have that. I like what Mary's saying, which is include kind of give an idea of where the world's at. I think this is a great place to do it.
Yeah,
Would you a lot of people kind of connect these two characters. Do you want them to have some deeper relationship?
Well, but there are always sparks with the sorry, Todd. Sorry.
Yeah, and that's fine. Go ahead.
Chemistry is chemistry, and I think he's gonna give us chemistry
with
Matt,
everybody.
Yeah,
because that's Matt.
And Matt, he has this extreme confidence that just makes me laugh, And I think I have on there keep with Eludra, and I think it's just because I want him to start exploring the fireworks and learning about the gunpowder and all of that stuff. Yeah.
That was my pickle. So I didn't want to keep this and the scene in chapter 44, which is like just a bumper at the end of the chapter with someone else.
Well, go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
If we combined them, maybe, I don't know.
So there's one piece here that is interesting that Andrew just brought up before we jump on from this chapter, which is if you introduce Eludra here, she doesn't really come to play until much later. So, do you just push it off just from a adaptation standpoint to this medium and really bring her in when she's made part of the story, or try to retain her over years between what happens here and when you actually bring her back?
Well, I mean, it's the fireworks piece that's really integral, and that happens in 44.
True. Yeah, that's true. Right.
Which we're not at, so.
Yeah, we haven't got there yet. By the way, obviously there's spoilers. We'll open the call lines here probably in just I want to say in just a little bit.
Trying really hard.
And yes, right. Like, and I just saw that Nara I think she reached out. Let me throw under her notes here. And Taylor, if you want to reach out to Nara there, and I'll have her send you a note, and then you can bring her in here. But yeah, to this point, I want to say that I like keeping this, and it seems like all of us want to. We need the fireworks. I go with we keep Eludra, and we keep this stop. I like this one as a keep. Y'all good with that? Y'all? It seems like we're all kind of in agreement. So this one's a keep for us. Yeah, you've been convinced? Okay, we brought Natalia back. Okay, Natalia, why don't you break down chapters 41 for us? What happens there and what do we need?
A Hunter's Oath. This is our second introduction to the city of Ilion. We come in on the Snow Goose through the stinky docks. We're introduced to, lots of description of the marshy area and how smelly everything is because of his new fantastic nose. And then we're led right into how tense it is, how laughably tense it is between Fail and Moraine, and how Perrin is more uncomfortable on underdeck because it's too hot, and that's the only reason he's on deck, which I find pretty amusing. So that's the lead up, and then we take them through the city. We come off the boat and we go to the inn, our infamous easing the badger. But that's the whole chapter.
Well, there was the swear. Moraine had Fail swear.
Oh yes, apologies. Yeah. So again,
swear an oath, right?
You're here. You won't leave. I don't understand why. Just
so yeah. Go ahead, Tom.
I was just going to say that the thing in this chapter that just makes me laugh is Lan and how funny he finds the whole situation. Because he's always the one that's like, oh my God, I got to get you out of this crap again. And now he's not the middle of it. He's like, this is fantastic. Everybody, he's standing on deck and he's, for him, got a huge smile on his face. because everybody is just tense. Even, they even talk about the ship's captain whispering to his people because it's so tense on the
They're
on
all
the boat.
scared.
Yeah, they're all freaking out, and he is just beside himself because it's hilarious to him.
So is this a keeper? This whole section. Obviously going back to Perrin here. Do
Hold
we
on,
need to do this?
Can we circle back here? Because
Yeah.
a couple of things. I'm really sad I missed out on our introduction to Fail, but I just want to flag that my singular note here is I love Fail. That is all.
That's what your note was.
But what is our city equivalent to Ilion? Is it New Orleans? Because it's sort of marshy.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Like
Marshy with canals and
Yeah.
Sure.
and kind of a center, New Orleans or
Because
Venice.
it's not Venice.
It's not. Well, it's been there
Well,
long enough
I
to
wouldn't
be
say
Venice, but it's very it's
But Venice
it's
doesn't
a
have
very
the marshes,
lively
right?
city with music and yeah, I would say New Orleans.
New Orleans or
Anyways.
maybe Miami in some way.
To Miami.
Oh, and around the Everglades, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, if
that-
you have thoughts in chat, that was my thought. But do I think we need to keep the chapter? Mary, what do you think?
I think the chapter would take all of 3 minutes in the show. It's just they arrive in town, they walk through, they get Zareen to Fail to say, "Yeah, I'm with you." It's like, "Do you really want to do it?" Yeah. There's Lan just quietly laughing his ass off at what's going on because he wants to needle Moraine too, and just loves that this is just that she's absolutely pissed off about all of this, and fails to see the humor in it. And yeah, like I said, it's not a long chapter. It can be done very quickly, and you can see Moraine's anger. We could see the sparks fly between her and Fail. We can see Perrin being confused and uncomfortable. Loyal's hiding and doing his own thing. Just the better side of caution, right?
Sweating.
Yeah. It's a quick scene. It's a quick scene.
Okay, so then as we come on here, let's just take a pause. I think we have Nara with us. Let's bring Nara into our conversation. So that as Nara comes in, we'll make sure Nara can hear the audio and such. So yeah, Taylor will add Nara here just shortly. And yeah, go
I
ahead.
don't think we need to keep it.
Okay.
But to Mary's point, I'm not going to push losing it either. It's a nice piece of texture that I think we get later on towards the end of the evening with these guys.
They're on their way to the Badger. They show up at the Badger. This is a conversation on the way to the Badger.
It's shoe leather.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, the as far as the next piece of this, it's a little bit more. It adds a little more complexity to whether or not what we keep here. So do you want to actually talk about the what happens
42?
in this? Yeah, chapter 42. Yeah. So yeah. Sorry, you want to add that piece in chapter 42 and 43. If we can kind of mix some of these in because they kind of all tie together. So go ahead. Yeah. So go ahead. Keep going with that, Natalia.
Okay, so chapter 42, we enter easing the Badger. Comments in the chat. I'm looking forward to the emojis. And we get a beautiful introduction to meeting an agent of the Blues, which is badass. We get a really cool visual description of what the effect of the shadow can have on a community, on a population, and at a granular person-by-person level, which is freaking cool. Augmented by Perrin's sense of smell, which heaven knows if we'll get it on camera. Jump in.
And I just say that easing the Badger is an incredible piece of foreshadowing for this chapter because the description, I mean, from what I know of what easing the Badger is, that's exactly what they're doing in Ilion. They're easing the Badger.
Hold on a second. Yeah, I think this is a good the discussion of easing the Badger. Let's take a pause. Sorry, I think Nara is ready, so let's bring Nara into the show.
Are you
Todd,
easing her into the show?
Yeah.
So, Nara, welcome.
Hooray!
Welcome, Nara.
It always takes a moment
Connecting
for
to
the audio.
yes.
Yeah, no, it's always the audio moments.
Anyways,
as,
Todd, nobody knows what easing the badger really, well, not many people know what it really
Yeah, Todd, why
If
don't you?
you know what I mean.
If you go with what
Well, Nara,
has
hey
been-
Nara, can you hear us? Nara, can you hear us? Or you? I think we can hear. I don't know if the audio is connected there yet. Can you hear us? We can't hear you yet. Just yet. I think the audio you might have to go in the lower left hand corner of that Zoom and just pick make sure the audio is connected to the right.
Forget, I'm not in a work meeting.
This is the most casual kind of work meeting.
Oh my God, are you kidding me? I'm 1,000 times better dressed. Put on makeup for you people.
Oh,
And she has the fancy leg warmers on.
Oh, are you kidding me? They're amazing, Mary. They go all the way up to my thigh. They're like,
I like how Scott said, easing the badger. Nablus ruined easing the badger for me. It's a euphemism now. yeah. And so that's that.
no,
when
don't ruin it, Todd.
9Ls said, when was easing the badger not a euphemism? So yeah,
The trick was, what is it a euphemism for? We knew it was dirty, but we didn't know exactly why.
even if it
Todd-
is a euphemism for something dirty, it still stands that what they're doing in Ilion is they're screwing around with the Forsaken, and they're getting themselves they're easing the badger in Ilion.
Poking the bear.
Yeah, exactly.
He's
It's
the
all-
badger.
Yeah.
It's not a 9-horse hitch thing.
No.
It's something else.
I think everyone assumes it's a 9-horse hitch kind of thing.
Yeah.
I'll be honest.
I always thought.
I love
Yeah,
the innuendo
me too.
in names. That's probably one of my favorite side jokes in the entire series.
The
so,
in names and the sword
Yes.
forms are my favorite.
Yes.
Nice. So as far as now that we know easing the badger, I like that we
Easing
honestly
the man fear.
easing the man fear. Wow, Glenn.
Glenn.
Can is it Nara Ann, and can she hear us?
I think Nara's still just working on kind of getting her setup going. So
Okay.
as soon as as soon as she puts her video on, then we'll bring her in. So
Okey-dokey.
yeah. Easy.
Okay, so
At 50K
anyways,
jumping back to this part. Go
Jumping
ahead.
back to easing the badger, they're enjoying the common room. There's a sassy little girl singing on a table with some dirty words the parent has never heard before. They get attacked by a bunch of gray men. They come outside and they come upon the prince of a dark hound. Dun dun dun. Lan talks himself into disobeying Moraine and takes after her. And my favorite part of the chapter, because my note says, LOL, it's outright in the book. We'll get to keep this for sure. Who said what was stayed? Perrin takes off his pants.
That's
Gonna be bringing all
Pants
the
are
safety
optional at the
lines to
end.
the forge. Let me tell you.
pants are optional at the easing the badger. Wow, Ian, that's
Yeah,
that's
nice.
understandable. See, again, it just works out that way.
So he jumps into the dream, which frankly I'm biased, but I don't think we need it. He has a nice dream interaction with Hopper. We get to see some peeks of the girls. We see a peek of Perrin. We see a peek of maybe Rand. And then he wakes up to Fail, who's just watching him like a creep. And I really love how he's so suspicious of her, and she's a lot of things, but she knows herself and she knows what she wants.
Nice.
And that's chapter 42.
Well, that's chapter 43 also, the pop.
Yeah, it's
43,
43
yeah.
in there too.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that I like that aspect of this whole kind of section. I mean, obviously we have to, go to Ilion, right? I mean, is this something that you think could happen elsewhere? You know what I mean? Like,
No.
do we have to have it in this point? Like, you feel like, no, it couldn't. Okay.
Here's my problem with this chapter is how do you play up Perrin's sense of smell, and how do you play the gray men? And I worry that trying to portray, I mean, is it going to be like Spidey sense, a tingly? How are they going how are they going to do this on TV?
Wiggle his nose like in Bewitched.
Right.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
And that's what worries me about how this is going to play, because he can say he smells it, but it's just different when you're in a book and in his head, you know.
Yeah. And Nara, can you hear us? Oh, she can hear us. We can't hear you for some strange reason, but we can hear you.
Muted.
I mean, you can hear us, but we can't hear you. It's muted for some
Try
reason.
unmuting yourself, Nara.
Yeah, so she's going to work on that. This idea of sorry, go ahead, Todd.
No, that
cut
was
you off.
no, that's fine.
Nara.
Nara.
Hey.
Hey, there you go.
Hi.
See?
How are you?
You worked it out.
Welcome.
It's awesome to have you here.
Yay!
Can you hear us there? Yeah.
Bare bottom parent.
Yeah.
Oh Lord.
So Nara, yeah. Which one did I miss? There's a hashtag. Oh, bare
Hashtag bare bottom parent.
Wow.
No,
yeah.
no. It said I said pants. I didn't say he got naked.
Yeah.
Let's be clear here.
So Nara,
Marcus Sniff.
I know you've been just working your way into the show. As far as this whole kind of section of the Dragon Reborn having Perrin and company and Ilian and going through this whole, Darkhound dream, do you think this is like an important piece of the Dragon Reborn to bring into the show itself?
I think it is because sorry, I'm nervous. It is because it's the Darkhound, and Darkhound's one of the dark creatures that's needs to be explained.
Yeah, that's true. This is a good part, to also kind of bring them in, especially if we don't have them come into that earlier section with Rand, or even if we do, finding out that they're also involved with Perrin or kind of following in and having them kind of maybe potentially bringing the dream aspect to it. Yeah, yeah, go ahead, Natalia. What do you want to rewind?
I just want to rewind to I don't think we need the gray men at all, because if Maureen is having a boss fight, just get to the boss fight.
Well,
Sure.
the gray men give her the external push to go look and see what's actually wrong with the city. We get this feeling of foreboding in the city, and they could just move through because that Ilian is not where they're heading. They're trying to get to Tyr. So It gives them a reason to stop and figure out what's wrong and figure out why they have to get the hell out of the Dodge, and set up Ilian as Ilian's the end game of a later book. So spoilers.
Yeah.
And it also clicks with her in this scene how important Matt and Perrin are, because I don't think she really realized until this that they're way on up there in importance.
Right, but they don't really establish why they're important at this point, other than the Shadow is trying to kill them.
Right.
Yes, and part of me is just like, can't they just get to Tyr?
Yeah.
Honestly, I mean, yes, there's some aspect of kind of world building here, which I really like, but is there any reason why we can't just take them? Like, are we missing anything if we cut out?
Yes. Sorry.
Other than using the badger. Yes.
44 is the lead up to the runaway, right? To the chase. So I don't want to skip ahead here. But are you saying we don't need the inn at all, Matt?
Yeah, I mean, couldn't you just, get them? In other words, do we need them to make a stop here, right? Because the stop is pretty short, and the ultimate goal is to get them to Tyr.
How else does they enter? Okay, I mean, if you can creatively interact, to Nara's point, with Darkhounds between Ilian and Tyr, I guess fine. But this seems like a nice way to do it, and a nice mid-season ender, by the way.
Yeah, sure.
Balefire?
Balefire's a good way. Yeah.
I guess they could push right on through Ilian and just go, and not have to stop at the end. I could see that happening, and then the Darkhounds coming for them. Yeah. On their way. I guess I could see that.
I guess I'm saying, you just don't really need a whole. I mean, imagine Rafe when he's just said that we can't stop everywhere, right?
Mm-hmm.
We can't stop everywhere. Now, this might be one of the places they decide to stop, but Tyr's obviously going to be an important place to build out. So,
is it Ilian or Erangel? Nara, what do you choose?
Yeah, that's a good question.
I was going to say, but the grey men are dark assassins, so surely you'd need those as well, because you think everyone's after him. So you think that with the Greyhound, Black Darkhounds, then with the Grey Assassins, you'd probably need them. And he needs to be aware of what they are, because he's just finding out what they are.
Yeah.
But Matt knows about Grey Men, right?
We've seen Grey Men before.
Has Matt?
We have. I don't know about Matt. Nara might be
No,
right.
yeah, Matt has, like, in when he's leaving Tarvalon, right?
Yeah.
So we have that incident of it. So you could.
He didn't know it was a Grey Man, but it was a Grey Man.
Right.
True. Like you
And
could.
this tells him he's being chased.
Yeah, that's true. This does add. I like. But if I had to pick between those two stops, and maybe that's a good way to kind of frame this. If we're gonna pick between one of these two stops in Ilion or the stop in Erangel or Erangel, I can't pronounce it very well.
I like Fail more than Aludra.
Which one would you? Yeah. Oh, you do. I see. I like. Well, it's not that we wouldn't lose Fail. So I would probably pick Erangel here. So I want to go across the four of you. If you only could pick one, Ilion or Erangel here, which one would you pick? For a stop.
Ilion.
Erangel, Ilion. Did you say Ilion, Mary?
Ilion.
Natalia, I think you said Fail, so you're Ilion at this point. Todd, you're the tiebreaker here between these two stops. Would you pick Erangel or Ilion?
Erangel.
Yes, that's right. We just cut out. We just cut out Ilion. I agreed to Art's point that Samael being there, sure, it's a big deal. But again, this is a whole question of how many Forsaken are we having, how many side Forsaken plots, and how many locations.
Are you going to cut Camelin next? There's just a random side Forsaken there too.
No, but Camelin's important.
Yeah, but he's hot.
Is Ilion really important? Let's
No, he's
go.
not.
Let's take a step back and ask yourself, Ilion, does it matter to the Wheel of Time?
Still working on myself, Mary.
No.
I mean, even does Ilion matter? Does Ilion matter to the story in reality?
Right now, I think it's nice texture. The Darkhounds matter. The gunpowder matters. Where they happen, I think we can make both things happen elsewhere, I guess.
Ilion is hot, it's wet, it stinks, and the men don't have mustaches on their beards, and they talk funny. So I mean that's about what we get out of it.
Todd, shave your mustache.
That should be something.
Shave your mustache.
Todd shaving his beard should be something, right? For
No, he
those
can
of you
keep
watching,
the beard.
like,
Just lose the mustache.
just the mustache. I love it.
No.
Okay.
Maybe.
So
Look about
For
10
those
years
laughing,
younger.
it's the premise of Todd specifically shaving his mustache that is making me laugh.
And this, by the way, #Darkhounds matter and #Ilion doesn't matter. I'm for both of those.
No.
Koala said Ilion is not as important as Darkhounds and fireworks. I totally agree. We can get Samael there without stopping. Totally agree. See, I like how everyone here is moving towards this idea. Ilion's a waste of time.
It really is.
Generally speaking. So, okay, so I'm going to recommend we cut Ilion out of our adaptation as a stop, not cut the things that happen. We can kind of include some of those things elsewhere, but we cut. Does anyone disagree with stopping in Ilion?
I can't believe we're losing the badger.
We're losing the badger, but you can ease the badger into a different city.
No,
That's
it's terrible. that you
We still have the 9-horse hitch.
Yeah, we still have that. Yeah, exactly.
Oh.
Okay, so I want to remind.
This is the smash to black. I'm sorry, the Ilion has just got too much smash to black with the Samael is there and the Darkhounds are there, and we got to get the hell out. They're not there long enough for it to matter. You could say you can skip it from a budget standpoint. You're going to need it later, type of thing. But
spend the money on Balefire.
You've got to get, if you're following Warren and Perrin overland to get to Tyr, it's not just them riding through the wilderness the entire way there. There's lots of stops along the way. I keep looking at the map. I'm like, how are we going to get to Tyr? How's everybody going to get to Tyr? Where are they going? How are they getting there? How many rivers are we going down? And
we'll get there.
Yeah. But
okay.
How did anybody get anywhere in Game of Thrones?
Okay, so let's remind everybody it is a call-in talk show. I'm kind of curious if you agree or disagree with any of the cuts we've made so far, or if you think we should have cut more. I think that's always the complaint I get is we're not cutting enough at this point. So give us a call at 1-313-825-5968. That's 1-313-825-5968. 5968. You can give us a call, and we'll talk you, bring you in the show and talk about your question.
Hey, is Swan from Ilion?
Yes. No,
Yes.
she's from Tyr. She's from Tyr.
Here. Okay. I couldn't remember.
And by the way, there was a hashtag shave the stash. I totally agree. We should save the stash. Not save the stash. Yeah, so you can go there, shave and save the stash. I like
We're
it.
gonna have to get a lot of subscribers.
Yes, that's
Yeah, you just set yourself a bar you didn't want to set, buddy.
Exactly.
Back away.
I didn't put a number to it yet.
Okay, so that all being said, I want to step back a little bit and ask a kind of a broader question here about Forsaken, and I want to talk about Balal and Samael, because let's be honest, at some level there's like cities, and then Rand has to go conquer them, and then there's a Forsaken there, and he has to kick the boss Forsaken out of the city. It's kind of ridiculous how many times this happens, but whatever. But what if we moved Samael to Tyr?
What are you gonna
and
do?
just drop Balal? Like, why don't we like give it a little bit more interesting kind of texture and have like a bigger baddie there?
Drop
That's
below the Forsaken I wanted to
I'm not
kill
saying-
like 12 episodes ago.
you want to get rid. I'm not saying we have to get rid of the number of Forsaken,
Yes.
blah blah blah.
Yes.
But I'm saying Balal's kind of the most insignificant piece of this story, and people are like, maybe we should build out Balal's story, and I'm saying maybe we should build out Samael's story at this point. Get rid of Balal. I don't know. I like that. I like that one better.
Depends on you know what Samael does later in the story and how his plot plays out. And do you want to sacrifice all of that to have him die in Tyr? I'm willing to do that.
Samael eventually gets kicked out of his city anyway, so just kick him out of this one. He runs.
Yeah, I think Samael's was underutilized. He was supposed to be this angry little wannabe. Second fiddle to Luz Theron. We already have an angry, bigger, sexier wannabe apparently with Raven. Do we need Samael as well?
Oh, so Nara, would you this idea of 13 Forsaken in the show?
Yeah.
Do you want to keep them all in the exact way that Robert Jordan has included them when it comes to the TV show, or do you see some room here to kind of consolidate, or what's your preference?
I actually like the number 13 because that's equivalent to what Robert Jordan likes. But if you have all these Forsaken for 13 of them, then you kind of lose the plot of who's who. So I think for the TV show that they need to condense it.
Do you like this idea of potentially bringing Samael into Tyr, or is that would you not want to consolidate those two Forsaken? Do you like leaving Balal as he is because Moiraine ends up killing him anyway, and so it's just like a nice win for Moiraine, which I can see, and then we save Samael for later? Would you prefer to keep this one the same as we get it in the actual books, or do you like the idea of pulling a different Forsaken like Samael into Tyr?
I like the idea of Rain fighting two Forsaken at once. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And then
go ahead.
it would be
Did that though.
an end part of a period. So then you'd get suspension of who's going to win, what's going to happen for the next TV show.
Yeah, and I by the way, sorry. It looks like Eric, someone's having a little trouble kind of calling into the line here, but thank you for those in chat that are helping out. I can see that. I like this idea of like he's having this moment where he's taking on more and more at the same time. But we get both of them die here, and technically Moiraine kills Balal, right? So
What? Can we just back up here? We haven't even met the Darkhounds.
Yeah. I know. I'm trying to I'm not gonna like dissect all the chapters. I just want to know, like, since we're getting rid of Ilion, do we bring Samael into this Tyr?
They're
what
interchangeable.
Do you think they are? Okay.
They're fully interchangeable. The
Gotcha.
only one who has any like character is Lanfear and Ishmael. Ishamael, sorry. That's it. Those are the only ones we care about.
Yeah. Balal is a big letdown all the way through. I mean,
well, he's a flash in the pan. It could have been great, but he got cut out too soon, which happens sometimes.
And people, I would have expected more from him. He he and Luce Theron reinvented swords. So
Hey, sometimes the big bad is taken out by some little uppity schmuck. I'm not calling Maureen an uppity schmuck. I guess I just did. But sometimes it happens, and it is a crowning moment of awesome. And there's nothing wrong. I wouldn't get rid of the 13 Forsaken, but I would strongly say keep them dead. Stop recycling them. I mean,
by the way,
if you're worried about having too many characters, why bring half of them back after they're dead? This isn't Scooby-Doo.
By the way, everyone's upset you you dissed on Grendel there a bit, Natalia. Natalia's taking people off in chat.
Fine. 4, I guess. You get 4.
I like the Semi a little bit and Asmodean. Yeah, they are a bit interchangeable.
That's what I was going to say. You got to have Asmodean.
Whatever. I'm saying you definitely don't need 13.
Matt will never be able to grab hold of that again if they don't put it in the show.
Somebody can do 2 things at once.
Anyways, it could be. It's fine to have Belial there. He can die. It's not going to hurt anybody. Nobody's going to get broken up about it. It shows again that it's not just 2 crusty old Forsaken who are caught at the extreme edge of the bore that were killed during the Eye of the World, and you don't have Baalzamon who keeps dying and coming back and dying and coming back.
Okay. Now we're getting to the merits of transmigration. So we'll have to do another live stream. Sorry. I did take us off into a crazy segue. So I'm assuming none of you really got in this bandwagon of Samael, but I want to go around the room here. Samael in Tyr and get rid of Belial. Does anyone support me in this? No. Anyone thumbs up here for no, nothing? Thumbs down.
What are we saying? Moving him to Tyr?
Yeah, move Samael to Tyr.
Switching him essentially.
Yeah.
Can he just kill Belial and Tyr and then
Samael kills Belial for us? Okay.
And that's all.
I'm seeing not a lot of love for this idea, so let's move on from it. So we can go back to Natalia. We're in chapter. For those of you watching, we're in chapter 44. Is that where you want to go back
44,
to?
44. Yeah, it's called The Hunted. There's a really beautiful line, which is the reason we read or hear books. Because he kept dressing. It was that or give up. Two Rivers folks were not known for giving up. I mean, it's not hokey. It's just a fact. They're freaking awesome. Also, the scene in the stable really sets the tone for this whole section. It's fraught. It's tense. It's dangerous. It's a little sexy because she keeps giving him eyes. It's cool. I like it. But we can have a, fraught, sexy scene in stable somewhere else, I guess. Outlander does it all the time, so we'll figure it out.
The big thing in this chapter is when Moraine lets the cat out of the bag about Rand.
It's actually Perrin. It's Perrin, and then Moraine lets the cat out of the bag about the horn. And
the horn, that's what it is. The horn.
He blew it. Someone found it.
That is a funny. That's a funny section.
But we can have it somewhere else in the story too.
Yes, that is true. It can go elsewhere. Now, this section also brings in Matt, right?
Yes,
that piece of this.
This is the campfire attack from the Dark Friends, where Tom kills the woman, and Matt's all cut up about it. But this is also where he plays with fireworks for the very first time, and you get to see that. I wonder what would happen if a lot went off at the same time.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, this. I want to keep any. I'll be honest. I have a hard time cutting anything with Matt. So but I want to ask this. This is a larger question. We just talked about Eludra and at least having Erangel. I mean, we're going to keep that over Ilian. That's cool. And I know this is going to be a hard question to ask everyone. Do we have to have this fireworks moment in this season? Can we? In other words, it's not that these things can't happen. Again, there's spoilers in the show. If you're watching this and you read the books. Or if you haven't read Past the Dragon Reborn, we're going to spoil some things here. So just remember, I put the banner up. I'm about to spoil some stuff. But do we need... By the way, I've already seen a comment, let Barney blow, for goodness sakes. So do we need this idea of that he's figuring this out right now? Can't he figure this out later when the cannons actually become a thing? Do we really need the cannons to be figured out, or that aspect of it? It's cool, don't get me wrong. But do we need that?
Well, Do we need it? No, but do we need a character that the audience can relate to? Of, I've got this really cool, explosive, super secret weapon awesomeness thing. I'm going to poke it and see what happens. I'm going to open this thing up and I'm going to throw it in the fire and see. I mean, that is just so relatable to the audience of, that Matt, I'm sorry, Matt is just a little shit. He is a little shit. And sometimes he is an awesome little shit. And that is what his, I think that's what his appeal is. I think that, it freaks the hell out of Tom, obviously, who's too old for this shit. They are total buddy cops, those two.
Who hasn't gone out in the street after you set off a bunch of fireworks when you were a kid and looked at all the little pieces of paper and been like,
who hasn't taken those little paper snaps and opened them all up and to try to make a giant snap?
Okay, so
this
is true, and Bane and Chad pointed this out, which I think is true. The whole impenetrable nature and discussion about the Stone of Tyr. If they leave that aspect of Tyr being impenetrable, and the Stone of Tyr at least being impenetrable, I like this, and the hashtags that are being made right now are amazing.
Don't get distracted. We cannot leave the fact that Tyr is in fact impregnable. What?
It's a Stone of Tyr. It hasn't. Yeah. What do you mean? The Stone of Tyr itself, right? The stone has never fallen.
You want to get rid of that premise?
No. I'm saying if they keep that premise, this idea of Matt like taking some fireworks, putting them all together, and blowing a hole in it, and basically Matt being the one that, among others, that are able to kind of breach this, is funny. So I like that aspect of it. Like Matt gets in because of that.
He could have stole some from Kyrian. Like,
sure.
I don't think he needs that.
No. So Nara, do you like this idea of leaving Matt's storyline basically intact? He meets Eludra. Okay, so you like this idea, and then he, basically blows a hole in the stone. Okay.
Because it shows to his wittiness and how he's like with the badges and stuff back in Two Rivers. It shows that he's that kind of person. I mean, it needs to be in there for his personality to blow up things.
Yes.
I do like that aspect. I like that you tied it to the Badgers. That's freaking great. It does show Matt's his curiosity getting the better of him, and I do like that.
I would like to see us extend this much grace to Egwene later on. That's all I'm saying.
Definitely.
I'm getting a little tired of Anyways.
Yeah. So we have two callers waiting. One is international. Let me bring that caller into the show. It's our friend Stubble. Hey, Stubble, welcome to the Dusty Wheel. How are you doing today?
Hi, guys. Hi, Nora.
Hi.
Hi. I had two things. That first, you haven't quite reached there yet, but I thought I could bring it up. Matt and Tom in Camelin.
Go ahead.
Because I thought for a long time that maybe they shouldn't go to Camelin. They could solve it some other way, maybe in Tarvalon or something like that. But after a while, I thought that it would be a good thing to set up Lord Gabriel more and have him develop a romance with Morghese, which pretty unhealthy and so on, and more like a lord that's is developed a bit, and so that would make it interesting and a good thing to have Matt and Tom go to Canyon as well.
Yeah, and I think we're all in favor of keeping that storyline intact. When you were talking about Ravine and Morghese, actually showing more of that happening in Camelin, kind of building that out. Is that what you were saying for the TV show?
Yeah, they need to build up that a little bit, I think. So a few scenes, like a creepy lord, more or less. That's an unhealthy relationship.
Yeah, well, and this goes to a question I asked on Twitter recently today, like how dark the show can get is extremely dark. How dark it should get and will get is unknown to us, at least, or will get as far as Rafe's concerned. But yeah, as Natalia, it seems like you have a comment here.
No, I'm just questioning, have we cast Elaine yet?
Oh, not that we know of, although there's a theory that Elaine is really Helena Westerman, who's not really Lila, and that's a whole thing. So there's some speculation out there. But no, we have not cast Elaine just yet. So
because we didn't eliminate that scene, we didn't get rid of that earlier scene in Camelin with Rand, right?
No, you're talking in the first. You're talking about way back in our adaptation. I don't remember. I have no idea how we adapted.
I think we kept it. We were just trying to decide if we were going to combine Gowan and Galad.
Right.
Yeah, I don't remember if we kept that one.
If we kept it, we should definitely keep Camelin.
Yes. I think we have to keep Camelin here. I think it's a really good piece to, and I think like you brought this up. Was it Mary? You said buddy cop, Tom and Matt.
Yeah.
As much Tom and Matt time we can get, I really enjoy.
Are we doing 45? Are we jumping into 45?
Yeah, I think we can for sure. And while Stubble, any question for you, Stubble? As far as we mentioned, cutting Ilion, are you a fan of that? Kind of streamline the plot, like get people out of Ilion, just get them to Tyr. Did you like that cut, or do you think we actually needed Ilion and easing the Badger there?
I don't think we need Ilion now. I think they can pass through it perhaps, or maybe just have as a backdrop somewhere. But I don't think they need to stop in Ilion and develop that whole city right now. They can do that later on if they need to.
Yep, I agree with you. That is some disagree, but I absolutely agree with that. Yeah, Stubble, good question here. We're going to jump into this Camelin discussion right now, so I absolutely agree with you. We need to keep that, but we're going to dig into it here. Any last note about Camelin before we let you go?
No, but I thought about this thing that you talked about earlier about meeting Eludra. If they meet Eludra, they probably should set up the Illuminators. And as far as I know, you cut the Illuminate scene with Rand early in an earlier show.
Yeah, so yeah, we kept it.
Maybe they should keep that. And then the question is how far between if they combine Dragon Reborn and The Great Hunt into one season. How many episodes apart will they be?
That's true. So yeah, she could come. Yeah, that's a good point. Like they could potentially, and we could go back and see if there's any consolidation that could be done there too, as far as that Eludra storyline, and start building it already. Yeah, that's a good point. Hey, Stubble, awesome to hear from you, man. Thank you very much for calling in. We'll talk to you soon. Okay.
Yeah.
We'll see you back in the chat. Bye-bye.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Bye.
So you know, I just real quick, I went back in my notes and we did keep Elaine when Rand falls into the.
Wow, nice job! You went back all the way to notes there.
Great recall.
That's impressive. Why don't we jump into this next chapter and then we'll bring our next caller, Art.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Dude,
Go
you
ahead.
skipped the Dark Hounds.
He's trying to get rid of the Dark Hounds, Sal.
So we can step back to the Dark Hounds. I thought we had already really kind of said, like, basically, yes, we like this whole kind of Dark Hound Balefire kind of moment. Let's leave it in there. Let's just get rid of Ilion. But
yeah, we're done. Okay, we're good.
Super. I was like, here's a possible mid-season ender. Like,
oh, okay, yeah.
This is a big moment.
But this is a mid-season thing. This is so close to the end. I mean, I think you'd have to kind of shift where this happened to make it more of a mid-season thing.
But whatever. Yeah. Like I said, Dark Hounds are important. Their timing is not.
Yeah. So I agree with that. And I want to ask this question, Nara. Do you like? Jordan's obviously introducing Balefire a lot in these two books, in the Great Hunt and the Dragon Reborn, obviously setting us up for Moiraine being capable of taking out a Forsaken here like that. Do you like the way he's done this? Do you want to see Balefire happen? You know, with a Drakkar, I think, doesn't she use it with a Drakkar? Anyways, with also here, do you want to see the Balefire happen with, I guess, Nynaeve, we skipped that one, but do you want to see people using Balefire this early so we kind of are ready for it when it comes to the end of the Dragon Reborn?
To me, Balefire is rare, and so it's hard to see, but it shows the how powerful Moiraine is by taking out with Balefire. Yeah. It shows you how powerful she is. So
yeah, I
agree.
Yeah, I think setting it up, it's useful. It seems like a bit overpowered, but maybe not. Maybe once you've introduced Forsaken, anything, you need to have something that can defeat them. So yeah, that's true. Other than that, Natalia, I know I keep on skipping Darkhounds. Anything else you want to bring up about Darkhounds before we go on? No. You're done? Okay.
No.
Okay, Mary.
You're
Mary,
Mary Darkhounds.
Yeah, sorry, go ahead. Mary, why don't you introduce us to Chapter 45 and what's going on there, and kind of give us a breakdown, if you have that.
We're skipping over the dream. I guess we're not going into the world of dreams with Perrin.
No, but
left that part out.
Natalia, I thought brought that up. We talked about the dream.
Yeah, it was not needed.
I skipped right over it.
Right. I mean, it shows that, it's not just Perrin wandering around in the dream and Hopper chastising him. It shows that he also has the dreamer component to it, the foreshadowing, the foretelling.
And it shows us the waste.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think we can. I think that's Perrin's had other sequences when he gets there, and hopefully we've already kind of learned some of that. Like I love Teleron-Riad, but I don't think we need every single moment. I think we can have already made the point that he has those capabilities. But yeah, if there's something there that needs to be, the whole like wake up and flee thing is going to get old if they do it too often. Yeah. But yes, I don't think we have to have it necessarily in this point. But
can you have somebody else introduce Chapter 45? I have to admit, I didn't get that far.
Yeah, Todd, go for it. I know you got us 245, right?
I did.
We'll let Tal have that one because I got.
Hold on, I closed my notes. But
I know they get to the Queen. I got all.
They got to the Queen's blessing.
Yes, that's
so
where
they did get the end. Yeah.
And this is where Lord Gabriel is basically introduced. So but go ahead.
We just get these like sweeping introductions to the city, really, right? So you come up the long street. It's packed with wagons and people, and you get these 50 feet walls. And I get the impression of sort of like Mont Saint Michel, even though I know it's not that, because it's described as a city of hills. And the oh my god, the palace is at the top, at the highest hill. Mm-hmm. It goes so they but I mean this is all very show don't tell, and I don't know that we need to see Caemlyn right this second. Sure. And then there's an ugly palace interaction where Matt gets to interact with what seems like a pretty bigoted soldier. And then there's a lovely library scene with useful exposition about the political situation in Caemlyn.
Yeah, we finally get introduced to what's happening here, with Lord Gabriel and such, and basically what's going on. This part we've already talked about, keeping this. And Nara, is there anything that happens with Matt and Tom and Caemlyn that you think should definitely happen in the show if we're going to keep this? Is there something that goes on that you remember at least? I know you weren't prepared to jump in and talk about these chapters, but necessarily. Yeah, go ahead.
I don't need anything.
Yeah. This whole like idea of Matt learning some of the political situation makes a lot of sense. So I think that is that piece of it's important. But anything else happens basically here is just like you're saying, it's just an introduction. Getting them there is really important, obviously. But anything else, Mary or Todd, that happens in this one that you think we should have for sure?
Well, it's setting up at the later in the season, later in the series, Big Bad. It's setting up the fall of Caemlyn, or at least the fall of Margase. It's setting up a lot, and it's revisiting what we've already seen from Eye of the World, which is always a nice touch. You get a lot of the intrigue from the shadow side of things going on, and and just how powerful the shadow is when it's focused on one unfortunate person who happens to be the queen. You see,
once again, you see this weird sense of confidence that Matt has to be able to handle any situation, and he reads the room really fast and just dives into this alter ego kind of thing,
So, and I want to kind of, maybe we can speak to this in this next chapter before I won't jump there, but when it comes to... Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
You're killing Tal. You're killing her.
Yeah. He's impatient to get to Tyr.
No, I'm
We're
no.
not
I'm saying
doing that this
I'm-
episode, yo. It's an hour and 15 minutes in.
I was focused on getting to the Lord Gabriel discussion. So, but go ahead, Tal. What was I cutting off there?
You're not. That's a okay. Sorry.
So while Tal considers whether or not there's something I skipped, let's bring Art into the show here. 1 second. Let's Art, welcome to the Dusty Wheel, man. How you doing?
Hey guys, it's a pleasure. How are you?
So you've listened to this kind of far-reaching, all over the place episode about the live adaptation of this book. What are your thoughts so far? Have we cut anything out or not cut enough that you agreed with or disagreed with?
Oh my God. You guys, you've made me take notes.
You're welcome.
And I even though I have a page of notes, I still have no idea where to begin. You guys are killing me. Oh my God. So, okay, I guess I'll start from Moraine, okay? I think we're forgetting, or maybe we haven't. It's just that it's easy to lose track. At the start of this vehicle, this show, we're riding on Moraine's coattails here. So a lot of this, since Moraine is actually in these scenes, pushing the narrative, I think we have to build our girl Moraine up, and because Rand is not in this book, okay? Even when he's in this book, he's not in this book. So, anything to build Moraine up into that pivotal moment where she comes in and blasts Bilal with balefire, I'm all for that. I'm eager to get to tier 2, girls and boys. Okay, I want to get there so bad just for that moment. I know I'm totally a Moraine fanboy, but yeah, I agree. I don't think you have to actually go into Ilion. I think that can just be a scouting mission for our girl Moraine. And then she comes back out and she goes, oh, crap. We're not going there. It's a silly place because it's full of, Forsaken, Samael. And then they can be chased out of the whole thing, right on their tail, the Dark Hounds.
Right.
And Greymen have already been established at this point, I think. I think we've had a few Greymen attacks. So the Dark Hounds can be there, but they don't actually have to go into Ilion and have that little experience. But I do think that you need the beat of there being a map that we're following here. We're traveling from one end of the map to the other. I know it sounds Games of Thronesy, but girls, this show shouldn't be coming from the viewpoint of trying to dispel the similarities between Robert Jordan's work and George Martin's work.
Sure.
So I think it's cool to actually travel across the map and then give the audience an actual line traveling, because that's I was watching Lauren's latest video about the map, right? If you guys haven't seen that yet, Lauren does a traveling pattern, and that's very true. He says the first thing you do when you open that book is you see this map, and I mean that's just iconic. So to have this show kind of traveling across this map, I know it's world building, but even if you don't go to Ilion, I mean, I'd like them to almost draw a line, okay, we're not going there, X, and then we're going to Tyr. And so, yeah. So
I'm just seeing this whole thing
you have to get the badass Moraine moments. Yeah, I think you don't even have to cut Bilal. You know what I'm saying? It's the fact that he's there. It's she's kind of the Legolas of the group. Says, oh, this is what's over here. That's what's over there, and then she'll kill whatever's there.
Moraine's the Legolas of the but you don't want to see a dotted line. You're not talking about you're not talking about a dotted line. Right, you're not talking about a dotted line on the map as it dots across the map and then it gets them somewhere.
Well,
right?
not literally.
Okay, so
yeah, but there's so many beats.
You seem to be in favor of that aspect of it, leaving Bilal there, kind of focusing more on Moraine here for this side of the book, and so you don't want to necessarily cut out some of the pieces that involve her, which makes sense. But do you also see this as kind of a Matt book, if you will? Do you see this as wanting to focus a bit more on Matt himself and kind of building his side of this piece
Matt
out
does
too.
have his moment. I think you haven't cut him like beating the crap out of Galad and Gawain, if I haven't noticed that.
No.
Yeah. They're also traveling. Everybody's look. It's all a bunch of arrows pointing to Tyr. We're going to get there. Okay. Yeah, fireworks stuff is very important because later on we're drawing to this point where eventually gunfire, cannon fire, and Matt, right? And we're drawing all these lines and cutting out little beats like this. I mean, it seems like for time's sake, just to get to Tyr. I mean, you can do this very elegantly and very quickly, and you don't have to spend too much time on these little beats. So sometimes I think we're getting a little ahead of ourselves, cutting things just for the sake of cutting it. And
well, I mean, I wouldn't say it's for the sake of cutting it, for the sake of them being able to get realistically the book.
I didn't realize that's what I was doing. Sorry.
No, instead of just cutting whole things, you can just. You can curtail them or just be very elegant about it, and not just throw the whole, baby with the bathwater kind of thing.
Yeah, no, and I think that's the key portion of this, which is how do we kind of keep the highlights. But when it comes to, Art, before we let you go, when it comes to Camelin, as we're jumping here into chapters 45 and 46, what are the highlights? If we were to cut a bunch out there, if you will, that are not just important, but keep the highlights of what's happening there, what would you say those are?
Camelin, it almost feels like
when it comes to Matt's visit. Sorry,
I've been listening to a lot of podcasts, first time read throughs, and every time we get to this point with Matt and everything coming back to Camelin, I get this weird kind of like. Just kind of, it's like a reminder that Camelin exists and this is what Camelin was like. And then
sure.
The whole the Robin thing. And I'm going to, okay, so, hey, look, I have radical thoughts too. I was actually toying with the idea of cutting Robin.
Okay. Moving Samael from Ilion.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. Or doing something like, I don't know, a conglomeration between Robin and Samael. I don't know. It's not a fully formed thought, but yeah, I just bringing some more elegance to it, and
sure.
The fact that the Forsaken are kind of lame sometimes. Like you don't get this idea that it's so archaic. Let me just I'll post up. Hey, I'm Samael. I'll post up in Ilion. Oh, I'm Robin. I'll post up over here in Camelin. Oh, I'm Bilal. I'll post up over here in Tyr. And then it's just kind of dumb. It's well, I mean, somebody has to have more vision. Maybe
I want to tackle that idea with the panelists about, is there a consolidation to be done with Camelin? So I think that's a good point, and that's probably a good way for us to end the show, which is talking about this last portion of Camelin itself. Because like you're saying, I do like the map idea that you've introduced, which is, maybe I'm a little bit more pushing for ideas where the map gets a little bit closer to things. And it's not that I'm against traveling. It's just at some point it does break up the speed a little bit. But I do like that you're bringing up that Moiraine, seeing her kind of fill that role is necessary. So, hey, Art, thank you very much for calling in, man. As always, I appreciate it. What are your final thoughts for us before we let you go?
Oh, yes. Thank you guys for listening to my, crackpot ideas.
Sure.
But you guys, you guys just bring it out of me. Oh my God, I have to talk to these people now.
I like that you took notes. I like that we inspired you to take notes. That's I love that aspect.
You guys take notes.
Hey, Art, man, we'll talk to you soon. Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye, guys. I'll see you later.
Bye-bye.
Can I ask you a question of
Yeah,
Nara?
go for it. Yeah, ask a question.
What we're doing here is, we've got all these different plot points that we're trying to consolidate or thin down as we're all heading towards Tyr here. And how important do you think it is to stay balanced in terms of scenes for Egwene and Nynaeve and Elaine versus scenes with Matt and Tom versus scenes with Moiraine and Perrin? I mean, do we, sacrifice one for the sake of the other two, or do we just thin each one of them and keep them at the same amount?
I would thin them out. The third part that you said, like have little bits of everything, but have the main important parts. Yeah. Because they all, everyone's all contains to the story. And if we have it all in, it's too jumbled. But if we have the main points of what they're doing throughout their thing, and I was thinking with if they're looking at traveling, is have us for like the land video of filming the land, and then people getting into little towns and then traveling on, and that would make it know that they're traveling towards Tyr.
Yeah, I like this idea. Sorry, go ahead, Mary. You were going to say something.
Yeah, it's just, everybody's trying to get there. They're trying to get to Rand. They're trying to get to the stone. They're trying to get away from the shadow that's chasing them. Yeah. And everybody's got their different drivers, but it's all going to the same place. And it's, I think there has to be some consolidation, but I would be very cautious about sacrificing one plot line for the sake of another. And there are a lot of Easter eggs along the path. There's, there's Ruark, there's Aludra, there's, there's Gabriel, there's
Talendor.
Basil Gill, there's Talendor. There's the Darkhounds. There's the World of Dreams. There's just a lot going on, and yeah, I don't envy Rafe and his team for having to pick what to keep, and because anytime you pull a thread and decide, no, I don't need this, it's going to ripple out and affect other things. Like you said earlier, Matt, Tom killing the king in Kyrian, and that you see the ripple of that here with Aludra.
Right.
It makes me wonder, it's there's a lot going on here that is needed elsewhere.
So long story short, I think we have to keep Camelin, we have to keep the inn, we can physically film both scenes together because they're about 2 minutes each.
Yeah.
So do it in the same day operationally and figure it out later. We need to keep the scene with Raven and Morgaze, because seeing her essentially enslaved to this man is gross, and I think necessary for us to see. Especially if we saw her earlier in Camelin, so that we get a nice balanced view. Yeah. And then we're immediately back to the inn. You know what happens in this chapter, Mary? Tom avows himself like he's clean of heart, entering Tyr conveniently.
Yeah.
I'm
gonna sleep like a baby.
Yeah. And then we're off to Tyr with Matt and Tom, and suddenly everybody's like an arrow back to Tyr.
Yeah.
I mean, to that point, Todd, are you worried about? And I think this is a good place to end this. Instead of trying to jump in, I want to have a discussion about Gabriel, but I think we can have that in our last episode of this. And I think, but I want to end it on this note of, and Rajesh brought this up in chat, which is a death by 1,000 cuts a bit. I mean, we can't keep all these pieces. As many Easter eggs as there are in the Wheel of Time books, you can't get them all. And so at some level, I do like what Nara said, which is, you got to kind of lighten the load on all the plots. You don't want to lose all of the, you don't want to just give Matt and Tom space, but we lose Moiraine and Perrin and Fael, or we get Moiraine and Matt, but then we lose Elaine and Egwene and Nynaeve. So I like the idea of them kind of like cutting them down, streamlining them a bit, but even then that means we're going to lose things. Are you worried, Todd, that we're going to lose too much, I guess?
In some things I am. I just don't want them to be running to Tyr. There's a lot that happens on the way to Tyr. Not that they necessarily have to stop and hang around for days, but they kind of need to. There's some things in there that have to be kept up with for Perrin and Matt both. With Matt, I think the biggest thing with him is the fireworks and the gunpowder and learning about all that. And then with Perrin, it's Fael and everything that all of a sudden has just been tossed into her lap, and she's going to hang on to Perrin for dear life now, because she knows that this is what she like Mary said earlier, she knows herself very well, and she knows that this is her path, and she's going to stick to it, hell or high water.
Yeah, that's something that Tal brought up too. Fael's there as the hunter of the horn. She's trying to get to the horn. That's what she thinks she's off on this grand adventure, and realizes that she has gotten into a far grander adventure. Mm-hmm. And she's cool with it. She's like, okay, yeah, this is not where I thought I was going, but I'm going to keep going because this is where I need to be. And, mad respect for her for there. Now, I know that she's not a fan favorite, and I'm fine with that. There's things that happens with her character later in the story, which probably could get changed or dropped or whatever. But, it's part of the growth. It's part of the growth of the character. It's also Perrin. Perrin grows as a character. He's not just having things happen to him.
Right.
There's a lot of that going on earlier, but he starts to take control of his own destiny.
His assertiveness in this particular arc is significant.
Right.
The way he speaks to both Lan and Moiraine. Fael gives him the bravery to do that, whether he knows that or not.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And Nara, thank you very much for joining us. I know it's actually not easy to just jump into a conversation you haven't prepared for.
It's hard,
getting all the technical things taken care of. So thank you very much for joining us. Is there any thought you want to leave us? Any additional thoughts we didn't cover about the discussion we had today about these chapters? Is there anything else that came to mind?
Not really, but thank you.
Okay, well, thank you very much. Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. It was fun. Hopefully you had fun. So it's such a random thing to jump onto a show like this in the very middle of it. So
yes.
I appreciate you putting the time in and making it work. That was a lot of fun. And to those of you that are watching, hopefully you enjoyed this live adaptation. Like I said, it takes us about 8 of these to get through. And honestly, I kind of wonder if Rafe and his team, because this has happened each time, in basically... I guess our conversations are an hour and a half, but basically breaking these chunks down to I think we can handle this. And each time we're able to break it into 8 chunks, if you will. So it's been interesting. I don't know if there's any logic that other than Amazon or Sony or whoever has said no, you have to do 8 and that's it.
They're professionals.
Yeah, they're professionals, right? Honestly, I think they're gonna have to break down. Honestly, I think they're gonna give us much more, as far as of the Great Hunt and the Dragon Reborn in season 2 than we did. I don't think we're gonna get as much as we'd like, but anyway, like I said, come back please on Wednesday and come hang out with me. It'll just be me chatting with you about all the things that are happening and talking about Hollywood Squares and doing some fun stuff there as far as picking contestants that are going to be with us, revealing our center square, and talking about Wheel of Time on Prime News. And like I said, kind of talking through some things we have coming up here at the Dusty Wheel and see if you want to join the team. So I appreciate my friends for joining me here. It's awesome always to see you, Mary, Todd, and Natalia. I love watching you all talk about the Wheel of Time. I just like sitting back and listening to it. And we will be back with this final episode probably sometime, I would say, in May. May is when the last of these will get done with the Dragon Reborn and move on to the Shadow Rising. So that was fun. Nara, thanks again for being here. And be back here, everyone, on Wednesday. And like I said, there is an after show in Discord. If you want to keep the conversation going, you can meet us over in chat and Discord. That's a lot of fun too. And as we say around here on Sundays, good afternoon from the Dusty Wheel and smash to black. Hey, welcome back to the Dusty Wheel. You went right to kill it. Look at you, you're all ready. You're just done. I mean, this is like this is
really well. And now I'm like, great, my turn.
And if you don't like that, and you want to say, well, Robert Jordan could have made the 2 rivers all white. He could have, but he didn't. So,
just complimented me on my dress, and as you can clearly see, I'm
sad.
not
I see Lukomi as something along the lines of a Shadow Haran analog.
It does make sense why it outlasted the breaking.
Yeah.
See, this is why I have Therese in the show, because she's going to correct everything that
Hey everybody, welcome to the Dusty Wheel Show. What? Beam Off Challenge. Yay!
Like baby face mounted on like a huge body. So like all of a sudden,
this is not just a traditional fantasy, right? There are sci-fi elements. And just a moment ago, Rafe tweeted something. So let me get my guest in here with me, and
probably I would say put in 70-80% of the work. I got to be over the shoulder and be like, no,